everyone, welcome back to the channel, where in today's video I'm going to be taking a look at the M4A3105. This of course is an early variant of the Sherman tank in-game and sits at a rating of 2.7 at tier 2. Now this tank has got some rather fun features. First off, the gun. This is a 105mm M4 howitzer, very powerful for its rating. The only downside of this gun is that when the tank comes stock, the only shell you can use is HE, so you can't really do anything with that. So what you want to do is, after getting parts, which I would say is obviously with most tanks the most important modification, get the M67 shot, which is a heat shell. This has 130mm of pen at all ranges and does actually have quite a lot of destructive power. A few other good things about this tank is the roof-mounted 50 cal, which can be used to fight aircraft, SPAA vehicles, or even just light tanks, really. And also the mobility. This is a very mobile tank. Rather than having the usual sort of radial aircraft engine, this has the more standard car-type engine with 500 horsepower. And, you know, this can reach 25 miles an hour, roughly, on roads. And even off-road, it can still get up to that speed fairly easily. So, definitely a very fun and mobile tank. Well, here is the first of a few games I've got lined up for you guys. I start off by capping the C point, which I've already done. And now I'm just protecting it from any enemies. And I do see what looks to be a T-50. So I go into binocular mode, set the gun, and fire. Well, you know, I thought that was a pretty impressive shot anyway, sort of a blind shot, if you will. But moving back on the base, now it's been recapped by the enemy, and there's a Chinu. First shot, I sort of aim a little bit too far in front, but luckily it does hit, and it does take out the driver, which does mean that, at least for the time being, he cannot escape. And I don't think he knows I'm here, because he just fired at someone else, so definitely very good. Now, of course, I've taken out the driver. Next step is to take out the turret, so that he cannot shoot me, and hopefully that will mean he'll be at a standstill for even longer. So now I just need to take one more shot and knock out one more of these 5 crew members, and that will be him done for. And there we go, fire the shot, and he is dead. So now what I'm going to do is move back onto the C point to recapture it for my team, as we are currently losing points, so recapping a base will definitely help with that. And the next step after capping C is to move back to my former position and prevent the enemy team from moving upwards and onto the hill, which will be very bad for my team considering the fact that they could recap the base. Well, here I am near the Panzer IV, and, you know, he's just sitting there. He doesn't realise that I'm here, and he actually comes towards me, most likely presuming that he's being shot from the other side of the map rather than behind him. So as he moves towards me, I'm just sitting here sort of laughing to myself as he comes towards me, reload the gun and fire through the upper frontal plate, knocking out the remainder of the crew, which definitely isn't too bad. And unfortunately there is an SPAA shooting at me, which can be a bit irritating, but luckily I'm able to get back. And there's a Puma, so let's aim on him. It's going to be a very long range shot. Get the aiming right, fire the shot, and luckily it hits the upper frontal plate and explodes through, giving him the hull break. Of course, hull break, very, very nice feature there, guys, and thank you very much for that. Well, anyway, that's pretty much the end of that game. So now we are on American Desert. And I start off this game by capping the B point, of course, in the centre of the town. Next, I move up to the A point, where there's a tricky Panzer IV who's attempting to protect it. Luckily, I'm able to knock out his means of shooting me, and then move in. Now, he does drop a smoke grenade, which could help, but instead of using the smoke grenade to cover his escape, he stays where he was and effectively allows me to kill him. He does get off a shot, but luckily for me, it doesn't actually do anything, and I'm able to put one shot into him, which kills him. Now that he's dead, we can actually capture the A point, so, you know, we're getting the point capped. Looks like the enemy team have been pushed back fairly well. We have currently got all of the bases under our control, which is a good point to be at within a few minutes of a game, because it means the enemy points are going to be lower. And I did move back to the B point, as that was recaptured just after I got the A point, so I moved back here, captured the B point again for the second time, and moved back out. Now here's a tricky little Russian milk truck that's firing at me. I fire a shot at him, and it being a heat shell, it does kill him fairly effectively. Moving along again now to get back towards the C point, which has been captured by the enemy team. That's obviously a down near the sort of end of the town. It's in this sort of fairly small housing area, and I believe the C point is situated around a school of some sort from the design. That's what I can tell, but you know, it's a pretty interesting point for sure. But now we're moving back, and, you know, I see a shot go past me. Luckily, it didn't hit me. And I turn around real quick, and what is that shooting at me? Looks to be another Panzer IV F2. Those things are real buggers. They can be really annoying. Those guns will pen you pretty much from any area, so do be careful with them. But now I've capped the C point, so, you know, going quite well. We've recapped the bases. When the enemy took one, we were able to recap it. And now I'm moving out towards the enemy effectively, and there's a T-34 trying to make an escape. I am able to knock out his track. The heat shell, I didn't actually hit the track. I hit one of the road wheels, but that exploded and then knocks out the track, so pretty decent there. He's been set on fire by a friendly. I'm just waiting to pump my last shot into him effectively. I have a nice aim up onto his side armor, and as soon as I'm reloaded, I fire off the shot and get the kill. And unfortunately, the friendly Cromwell just get blown up by a Panzer III, who comes out of the smoke and is all like, oh, hi there. And, you know, he starts, well, we have capped the base again for the second time for the C point, and he's just in front of me. Luckily, I was able to bounce his initial shot, but I feel like I won't be lucky for too long. I do fire a shot into him, and unfortunately, it bounces off the gun and does nothing, which wasn't the plan. I was hoping it would knock out his gun, and he does kill me, but still, 5 base caps and 5 kills, not too bad whatsoever for that game. Starting another game, I sneak around the A point, and I do start off by getting a kill straight away, effectively, although my top machine gun was previously damaged. Next up, I do see a T-28 moving along. This tank, its gun cannot pen you from most places, although the only issue with the T-28 is it has got a lot of crew members, which means it will take a few shots from your gun to knock it out. So you do have to be careful that way, but he comes charging in. I fire in a shot and actually knock out a few crew members in the track, so he can't move. And you know what, as you're about to see, he fires at me, doesn't actually do anything. I fire a shot into his turret so he can't fire at me with the main gun. Because even though he for the most part can't pen me, it is always good to be safe. When I'm preparing to chuck one more shot into this guy, and what do I see coming around the corner? Another enemy tank. So I fire my shot into him, get me another frag, and then I move in on the T-28, who by this time looks to have repaired something as he starts firing at me, which can be a little bit annoying, but luckily I think it's only machine guns. Another shot does hit one of the frontal machine gun turrets, but doesn't look to actually do anything. But I do move in, get the gun aimed on the turret, and I'm just waiting now for it to reload. I fire the shot, and it knocks out the remainder of his crew. Now, while I've been dealing with those enemy tanks, it looks like the enemy team has actually been able to sneak through and capture the A point, of which I uncap and hide in. Now, obviously, I'm not capturing, so it would appear there's an enemy tank. Looks to be a Panzer IV F1. Now, the first shot, unfortunately, doesn't kill the entire crew. Just knocks out a few of the turret crew and also knocks out the track. Luckily, with the F1 Panzer, its gun is also not as good as the long 75, so that's likely not going to pen you. Which does really give some extra ease when using this tank to know that you can take a few hits without being insta-killed. Although now all it takes is one more shot to go through the front of the tank and actually knocks out the rest of the crew, giving me the kill. Now for the final kill from this game, I see a Panzer II in the distance. My initial shot actually fires a bit low and goes underneath the Panzer II, but it does still explode and knock out a few crew members. So for the next shot, I aim just a tiny bit higher, aiming to basically hit the turret and just knock out the remaining crew members. And luckily, I was able to do so and get me one last kill from that game. We're now into the final game, starting off in the Tunnel of Death on this map, or at least that's what I call it, where there tends to be a lot of battles, capturing the point, and then I look over and I see a little Russian-type reserve tank, so I fire a shot at him. It only just touches the front of the armor, but it explodes back and hull breaks, which definitely at least was a lucky shot, I would say. I did sort of goof it. But then I see another German tank, so I sort of turn on him. I don't think he sees me quite yet. Fire a shot into the front, and what does he do? Does he try and defend himself? No, he aims at someone else and does not mind the big Sherman right next to him. So I just sit there, wait for the gun to reload, fire a shot in, and that is another kill. Unfortunately, though, I am sort of swarmed by 2 enemy tanks and eventually get killed. But they are the end of the games for this video from the Sherman 105. Definitely a tank I would advise checking out. I've been able to gain a few 100,000 silver lions from like 10 games this morning when I was getting footage for the video. And I find overall, once you get the heat shell and parts and FPE and maybe even crew replenishment, you can actually have a lot of fun with this vehicle. Once you've got a lot of the upgrades, like the engine and stuff, the mobility improves a lot, and it just is a really fun and easy tank to drive, and especially in down tiers, a lot of the stuff can't pen your armor, so definitely a very fun vehicle. Well, thank you very much for watching the video. If you did enjoy, please consider smashing that like button. Maybe even subscribe to the channel. If you do, that would be massively appreciated. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next one.